Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Irsyad Dhiaulhaq, and today me and my partner Hilyattul will explain about intonation. The definition of intonation is the rise and fall in speaking. In phonetic and phonology context, intonation used as to differ the expression in a sentence in order to convey the attitude and emotions of the speaker. Following the assumption that every intonational group usually contains a stressed syllable, a nucleus, which is the center of the most significant pitch movement, the intonational group's pitch movement would be traced by following the pitch curving and changes which occur presumably at the nucleus and its surroundings. Hawkins maintains that the tone depends on the pitch movements centered around the nucleus in addition to any words that follow in the post-nucleus. More specifically, the shape of the tone is identified by the way in which the pitch is processed in the whole intonational group. More specifically, the shape of the tone is identified by the way in which the pitch is processed in the whole intonational group. Arnold and O'Connor define the tune or tone as the complete pitch treatment of a word group. Crittenden introduces three factors to determine the nuclear tones: the initial movement from the nucleus, fall, rise, or level, the beginning point of this movement, high or low, and a second change of the pitch direction following the nucleus, complex tones. As a result, following the pitch direction, the tone of the intonational group can be identified. Rouge, for instance, identifies 5 kinds of tones: fall, rise, level, fall, rise, and rise, fall, whereas Hawkins offers 4 types: the falling tone, the rising tone, the fall rise tone, and the compound fall rise tone. Furthermore, Cooper-Coughlin divides nuclear tones into 3 main divisions: simple, complex, and compound. The simple tones consist of fall, rise, and level, whereas the complex tones comprise fall, rise, rise, fall, rise, fall, and rise, fall, rise. The compound tones, on the other hand, are divided into fall, rise, and rise, fall. Other researchers divide the falling into high fall and low fall, whereas the rising into high rise and low rise. And here we're gonna go by Hawkins 4 types of tones or intonation. The first one is falling intonation. Falling intonation is when the pitch of the voice falls at the end of the sentence. Falling intonation is the most common intonation pattern in English. It is commonly found in statements, commands, WH questions or information questions, question tags that are statement requesting confirmation, and exclamations. For example, for statement, nice to meet you. I'll be back in a minute. She doesn't live here anymore. For the commands, write your name here. Show me what you've written. Leave it on the desk. WH questions, what country do you come from? Where do you work? Which of them do you prefer? For the question tags, he thinks he's so clever, doesn't he? She's such a nuisance, isn't she? It doesn't it doesn't seem to bother him much, does it? For exclamations, how nice of you. That's just what I needed. Or that's just what I need. What a beautiful voice. Repeat. What a beautiful voice. And then the second type is rising intonation. Rising intonation is when the pitch rises at the end of the sentence. Rising intonation invites the speaker to continue talking. It is normally used with yes or no question and question tags that are real question. For the examples, first question tags, we have question tags. We've met already, haven't we? You like fish, don't you? You are a new student, aren't you? For yes or no questions. Do you like your new teacher? Have you finished already? May I borrow your dictionary? And then there is rise-fall intonation. Rise-fall intonation is when the intonation rises, then falls. We use rise-fall intonation for choices, lists, unfinished thoughts, and conditional sentences. Examples for choices, or also called alternative questions. Are you having a soup or salad? Is John leaving on Thursday or Friday? Does he speak German or French? As for the list, the intonation falls on the last item to show that the list is finished. So the sequence of intonation is rising, rising until the last item, and for the last item is falling. For example, we've got apples, pears, bananas, and orange. The sweater comes in blue, white, pink, and black. For the unfinished thoughts, unfinished thought is when the speaker hesitates to fully express his or her thoughts. Do you like my new handbag? Well, the leather is nice, but I don't like it. What was the meal like? The fish was good, but the rest wasn't great. And for conditional sentences, if he calls, ask him to leave a message. Unless he insists, I'm not going to go. And then for the fall rise intonation is when the voice falls and rises, usually within one word. The main function of fall rise intonation is to show that the speaker is not certain of the answer that they are giving to a question, or is reluctant to reply, as opposed to a falling tone used when there is no hesitation. It is also used in polite request or suggestion. For the example, for hesitation or reluctance, example, so you'd be willing to confirm that? Well, I suppose so. You didn't see him on Monday? I don't quite remember. Suggestion. Perhaps we could visit the place? Should we copy the list? Do you think it's allowed? And then there is English intonation units and their segmentation. The first unit is nucleus of an intonation unit, the tail, the head, and the prehead. The nucleus refers to the syllable in an intonation unit which carries maximal prominence and reflects the change of pitch. For example, this is a normal way of saying the following sentence. We were in a great hurry. There are 7 syllables that in total and 2 stressed syllables in the sentence, among which the last stressed syllable is her. So we say that her has the focus stressed and is the tonic syllable and therefore the nucleus of the intonation unit. The nucleus is the essential part of the intonation unit. It is still present even if the unit consists of a single syllable, as is the case with many sentences, words like help, what, and why. The tail is any syllable or syllables that may follow the nucleus in an intonation unit. In the sentence, we were in a great hurry. The nucleus of this sentence is on the tonic syllable her. There is one unstressed syllable re after the nucleus. This syllable is called the tail of this intonation unit. And then there is the head. The head is the part of intonation unit that extends from the first stressed syllable up to the nucleus is the head of this intonation unit. In the sentence, we were in a great hurry. The head of this intonation unit is great. The prehead is any unstressed syllable or syllables that may precede the head or the nucleus if there is no head, are called the prehead. In the sentence, we were in a great hurry. We were in comprises the prehead of this intonation unit. The previous analysis is the best composition of an intonation unit. Through this analysis, we know that the key to the segmentation of intonation unit is to determine the position of the nucleus. The position of the nucleus influences the other elements in an intonation unit. The following principles help to determine the nucleus. A nucleus is the last fully stressed syllable in an intonation unit. A nuclear has the biggest pitch change in the unit. A nuclear can be longer and louder than any other stresses in the same tone unit. A nuclear carries a lot of weight in conveying the message. A nuclear can be on any word or phrase in an intonation unit. The location of the nucleus in an intonation unit is relatively fixed, namely the last stressed syllable, but also highly flexible. Namely, a nucleus can be on any word or phrase in a unit, which reflects the flexibility of the language itself. These are mutual complementarities of general principles and particular circumstances. A nucleus falls on final stressed syllable in an intonation unit is the normal way saying a sentence, and it doesn't need to mark by linguists, while the phenomena that includes that the nucleus falls on other locations are classified as marked by linguists. The marked are the phenomena in which tone groups are inconsistent with complete sentences. These are The example for different nucleus convey different messages. They flew to New York. 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 The nucleus is on the last stressed syllable of the intonation unit, which is normal way in which the sentence is spoken in English. Last information word is usually the last stressed word which has the nucleus. They flew to New York. The nucleus is on the preposition to, which is not usually stressed. Speaker want to emphasize the direction. They flew to New York, not from New York. They flew to New York. The nucleus is on the verb flew. The speaker wants to emphasize how they traveled. They flew to New York instead of took by ship. They flew to New York. The nucleus is on the personal pronoun they, which is not stressed normally. The speaker wants to emphasize who do this. They, not you or us. And here is the function of intonation. There are attitudinal functions, accentual function, grammatical functions, and discourse functions. Attitudinal functions. Intonation can express the speaker's attitude obviously. Through the true tone, a speaker can express their feelings and attitudes, such as happiness, gratitude, anger, or boredom, and etc. Usually, the intonation units with high heads sound more lively and interesting than those with low heads. Generally, the following intonation is said to be more often associated with completeness and definiteness. The rising intonation mainly reflects the speaker's questioning, uncertain, and incomplete attitude. The falling rising intonation expresses the feelings of hesitation, contrast, reservation, or doubt. Location of tonic syllable is of considerable linguistic importance. The most common position for this is on the last information word of the intonation unit. For contrastive purposes, however, any word may be tonic syllable. Grammatical functions is the same when the same sentence said in different intonation may lead to semantic differences. Some sentences may be ambiguous when read, but this can be removed by the use of intonation. And then there is discourse functions. In speech, people often use the intonation to focus the listener's attention on aspects of the message that are most important. So the placement of nucleus or tonic stress depends on the information content. The discourse function of intonation is determined according to information weight in a given context. Generally speaking, the more predictable a word's occurrence is in a given context, the lower its information content is. Individual English sounds and attach have less importance to intonation and longer unit of speech sounds. It is quite necessary to adjust teaching content and teaching strategy and increase the proportion of intonation teaching.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. My name is Hilyattul Zahra. Today, I am, as a second speaker, will continue the material that has been delivered by Irsyad. Today, I will deliver the material about intonation teaching. Firstly, strengthening English intonation theoretical teaching is helpful for students' pronunciation acquisition. A contrastive analysis between English intonation and foreign tone will help foreign students avoid the negative transfer of mother tongue. Observing the similarities and differences between these two languages can help students understand the features of the two languages. If students can master the functions of English intonation and the semantics of different intonations well, it is an effective method to solve students' practical problems. Secondly, the teaching, the individual tone and intonation are not separated from each other. In daily teaching, quite a few students are often found to habitually use the following tones. When speaking in other tones, their intonation seems to be stiff and unnatural. Therefore, the correct word pronunciation and the correct sentence intonations are equally important. Teachers can guide students how to use different tones in a given context to convey information, different feelings, and attitudes. Thirdly, strengthening the particle training. The key to pronunciation and intonation learning is practice. Practical activities in language teaching are essential for intonation teaching. Students need to make use of this theoretical knowledge in authentic contexts and guard the functions of different tones. The teacher can organize all kinds of language practice activities, such as debate, interview, drama, or etc., and guide students to consciously overcome the influence of negative transfer of mother tongue. Lastly, the teaching staff should actively explore multimedia audio-visual teaching modes based on computers in English classrooms. To meet the needs of both teaching and learning, to enable teachers to constantly enrich and update teaching content, but also provide students with a more flexible space to learn English pronunciation. In a conclusion, the flexibility of English intonation contains the rich language information and the tone change conveys different subtle meanings. The misuse of intonation will directly influence the miscommunication effect. The function of intonation is much more abundant and complex than the phenomena listed in the paper. In fact, this paper is just a part of the general rule. In terms of English phonetic teaching, teachers should adjust teaching importance and the teaching method. That's all the material that I can deliver. Hopefully, this video can increase our knowledge about intonation. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.